Good morning, everyone. Would everyone please silence their cell phones? Ms. Thompson, could we have a roll call, please?
Member Brown,
Present.
Member Demas,
Present.
He's present on Zoom.
Zoom.
Member Powell,
Present.
Member Adwar,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Mendelson,
Present.
Chairperson Goldenberg,
And I am present.
Town Attorney Rubin,
Present.
and Town Planner Allen is here as well.
May we stand up and pledge allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, I'm going to ask for approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Is there a motion to accept?
I make that motion to accept it as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. All right, the swearing in of the public. For those giving testimony, please stand and raise your right hands to be sworn in by Ms. Thompson to provide the testimony for the application you're affiliated with. Also, for those providing testimony via Zoom, if there are any, being sworn in, you will be placed in virtual waiting room if you're in Zoom until the application you're affiliated with is being heard. Ms. Thompson, please swear in the.
Hi, if you're providing public comments or aren't sure if you will provide public comments, you should probably be sworn in as well. By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear that the testimony that you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Public, please be aware that you'll be limited to 5 minutes or less. And the next agenda item is approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes from January 13th? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 13th? All right, everybody in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We have any unfinished business? I guess we do not. So we move on to new business. And this will be development application number 21-0013, Richard D. Cotton, application by William R. Thomas Unlimited Permit Services, Inc., for a special exemption to install a 16,000-pound capacity boat lift on dock number 9 for the property located at 2727 South Ocean Boulevard, Unit 701. Does any of the board members have any ex parte communications? Hearing none, at this time, I will have the planning board, the public hearing is open. Town planner, please. Alan, please present your recommendations regarding this application.
Sure. Good afternoon. Actually, before we get started, I just wanted to advise the board that the aerials for this particular item were left out of your packet in error. That was my fault. We've gone ahead and provided those 2 aerials handed out to you this morning. So just one.
Well, Ms. Allen, you do a lot of work, so one little slip up will let you.
We're all human.
Okay.
Okay. Let's actually get started with the aerials. So here we have the Villa Magna condominium, which is outlined in red. And the next aerial is, I provided a zoomed in aerial of the dock area. And you will see here, I put a little red arrow as to where that proposed boat lift is going to be located. This is going to be in dock number 9. The applicant is proposing to replace the existing boat lift, which is 8 posts, and they're going to replace it with a 4-post lift. This will be for a 16,000-pound capacity boat lift. As you could see, currently there are 9 existing finger docks here, which allows for the mooring of boats that are perpendicular to the property line. So here you have, again, this is a survey of the property that shows dock number 9, where they're proposing the lift. And here you go again, 16,000 pound capacity. The applicant has obtained Florida Department of Environmental Protection as well as US Army Corps of Engineer authorizations. I've gone ahead and put those file numbers for each agency in your staff report, which is on page 12. Let's move on to the next slide. This is our boat lift detail. Now, according to this particular sheet, which is 3 of 3, you'll see that the top of the lift measures 6 feet from the existing dock. I highlighted it in red so you can see it a little bit better. These are obviously, these plan sheets are at the back of this particular item. They're 11 by 17. The applicant has indicated to staff that the superstructure components of the boat have not been finalized. So they've not been superimposed in dimension on the plan sheet, which is what you typically see. So with that, staff has requested that the applicant place on the detail the actual definition of boat lift. This is for compliance purposes. You'll see it right here per section 30-131 of the code. Keep in mind, the code does not require that the applicant superimpose their lift. Staff feels that this is a good way to show compliance. If the applicant has these dimensions, we ask the applicant, to call those out. If not, then it is appropriate for them to put it on the sheet here. So when this particular lift is inspected, if that lift is indeed higher than the superstructure of the boat, it's very clear on the plan sheet that was approved that they have to be in compliance. So following approval by the planning board, if the board should approve the item and prior to initiation of construction, the applicant will be required to obtain a building permit from the Town of Highland Beach Building Department, and pursuant to section 30-21G of the Town Code, commencement of construction shall be initiated within 2 years following the date of approval by the planning board. Staff does recommend approval of this item, and I'm glad to address any questions that you might have. And the applicant is here as well.
Well, thank you for making sure that the boat details are on there. Go ahead, Eileen.
That would be my only question. How are you going, if we approve it today, are we approving it subject to putting the detail on? Is it before they get a building permit? I mean, what requirement are we going to approve?
Okay. In the staff report on page 12, I provided the definition of boat lift. Remember, the town code does not reference a maximum height for the lift, right? The code clearly says that the lift cannot be higher than the superstructure of the boat. There's no dimensions, there's no height maximum, nothing. So when they go and inspect that lift, that's all they have to be in compliance with, that lift is not higher than the superstructure of the boat. There's no maximum height for the superstructure of the boat in the code. Just got it, the lift can't be higher. That's
So
all.
it's not, you don't feel it's necessary for us, if we approve this, to approve it with something that it should be on the plan to show that? That's all I'm asking. If you don't think it's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary because the code doesn't require it. If the code had a specific dimension or maximum for the superstructure of the boat when lifted, then yeah, but the code doesn't say that. But it's, again, on that particular detail, so we're all on the same page. The applicant clearly knows, it's on the detail, that they have to be in compliance with that definition of boat lift.
Okay.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Does the applicant want to make a presentation at this time?
But the
Any
applicant
other
is-
questions of this?
Oh, okay.
At this point, the public hearing is closed. Do we want to take a vote? Is there a motion?
I move to approve it.
Let's have a vote then. Ms.
Vice-
Thompson?
Of course, Vice Chairperson Mendelson,
Yes.
Member Powell,
Yes.
Member Brown,
Yes.
Member DeMoss,
Yes.
and Member Adwar,
Yes.
and Chairperson Goldenberg.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item, development application number 21-0016, Coronado at Highland Beach Condominium Association Incorporated. Application by B&M Marine Construction. Him again? Yes, I understand. for special exemption approval to install 9 finger piers docks totaling 1,379 square feet and 19 mooring pilings for the property located at 3400 South Ocean Boulevard. Again, does any member have any ex parte communications to disclose? All right, at this time, let's move on. At this time, open up the public hearing. Town Planner Allen, again, please present your recommendations regarding this application.
Okay, let's start off with the aerial for this property. Here you have the Coronado at Highland Beach condominium, again outlined in red. This is a zoomed in area of the dock. I've gone ahead and provided a little arrow here. This shows one of the 9 finger piers / docks to be replaced. And here is one of the 19 mooring pilings to be replaced. Just to clarify, the applicant is proposing to demolish the 9 existing finger piers and 19 existing mooring pilings and replace them in the exact same location and configuration. The applicant did receive Florida Department of Environmental Protection as well as U.S. Army Corps of Engineer authorizations. I've again provided those in your staff report on page 58. Now, I do want to make a note that I've actually written this in the staff report on page 58, that both the Florida Department of Environmental Protection as well as the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer authorizations included 9 boat lifts, 1 dual jet ski lift, and 2 kayak lifts. However, the development order application that the applicant submitted to the town of Highland Beach, which is development order 21-0016, that particular application that the applicant submitted to the town does not include any of these lifts, okay? Again, the request is specifically in what is before the planning board today is solely for the installation of those 9 finger piers and 19 mooring pilings. Any future request to install boat lifts at this property will require a special exception approval by the planning board. Just want to make that very clear. And that would be obviously pursuant to chapter 30 of the town code. So here you have a survey of the property. This is their demolition plan. So anything that's with a red hatch is going to be demolished. Again, it's the 9 finger piers and the 19 mooring pilings that are reflected here. And this is their proposed plan, which shows just the finger piers. If you look at this plan sheet that was submitted to Florida Department of Environmental Protection and Army Corps of Engineer, you'll see the boat lifts on it. But the plan submitted to the town, which is what the board is going to review and consider today, has no boat lifts on it. Again, as with all special exception requests, the applicant, if the board approves it, the applicant will be required to obtain a building permit from the town's building department following such approval and prior to initiation of construction. Pursuant to section 30-21G, the town code, commencement of construction shall be initiated within 2 years following the date of approval by the planning board. Staff does recommend approval of this special exception request, and I'm glad to address any questions.
Does any member of the board have questions of Ms. Allen?
I do. What is the nature of the special exception as opposed to any other thing that people ask for? And what exception are they getting?
Well, special exception is a pretty broad area in the code. Actually, it's section 30-36 in the zoning code. It says that any type of accessory marine facility, which is a boat dock, a boat lift, even a seawall, it goes under this title of special exception. Obviously, the planning board, approval is required. Now, when you look at special exception, it doesn't only include accessory marine facilities. It could be a variety of items, and it's called out here in the provisions. But a lot of the provisions of special exception, again, talks about pedestrian access, vehicular ingress and egress, roadway systems adjacent to and from the site. A lot of these things are not applicable for accessory marine facilities. So it's a pretty broad category. There's other items that could fall under it.
And what's existing already is, it's not, you have to ask for a new special exception to tear it down and rebuild it, because I mean, it seems like if it's being built exactly the same.
Right.
It would be
Right.
somehow grandfathered or.
Well, the code clearly says if you are installing a boat lift, or not in this case, but a boat dock, any accessory marine, if you are installing, in this case, docks, mooring pilings, you're required to get planning board approval.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And we're basically calling that a special exemption.
The code calls it a special exception. It's very clear that a special exception approval is required, unlike like a site plan approval with the new home. That's a site plan approval, but these type of accessory marine facilities fall under this category of special exception.
Thank you. Are there any other board members?
I have a question. Ingrid, what is the height of the current seawall? And does the renovation or replacement of the docks require that seawall to become compliant with the
I'll
current height requirements?
Yeah, I'll defer to the applicant as far as the seawall. Obviously, that's it's not before the board. No, it doesn't. There's not a mandate in the code that requires people to upgrade their seawall. If they choose to, obviously, we have provisions in the code as to how high that seawall needs to be based on base flood elevation. Given the seawall is not part of this application. I'm not sure of the height of the seawall. I can defer to the applicant to answer that question.
Sure.
Can we just wait 1 second?
Oh.
You'll be called up. Any other board members have any other questions? Thank you, Town Planner Allen. All right, may the applicant now make a presentation. Please come to the podium, provide your name, business affiliation, and your identification.
Hi, my name is John Cunningham. I'm with Cummins Cedarburg. I'm the engineer that designed the docking facility. The seawall in question was actually a prior project that we just had rebuilt. We designed that back in 2019 and we finished construction of the new seawall. The height of that is plus 5.5 NABD. The minimum, I believe, if I recall correctly, the minimum code requirement was 6 feet above mean sea level. The seawall elevation, the top of cap seawall elevation meets that criteria. The proposed docks are simply just going to be reconstructed to flush with the top of the cap and then descend down to, I believe it's plus 4.5 NABD. That's accounting for some sea level rise, but it's more or less going to be back to the same elevation as it is now for boat users to be able to get on and off the docks pretty accessibly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. You're the applicant, but you're doing this on behalf of the condo association, is that correct?
We are the marine engineer that designed the docks. I'm just speaking on behalf of the condo.
Right. Is there anybody from the condo association here?
I think there's a few people here. So
I mean,
after,
who's the applicant type person? Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
All right, would you please come to the podium and identify yourself?
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Robert Gans, and I'm the Vice President of the Coronado Condominium Board, and I'm the board liaison for the dock replacement project. And basically, this has been a historical structure. This has been a structure that existed at Coronado since 1983. So technically, it could have been grandfathered in. It's a common element that legally we're required to maintain and repair, in this case, replace, because our engineer, Cummins and Cedarburg, who you saw now, has said that the docks themselves are unsafe for boats, for standing, for sitting, and required replacement. Also, our legal counsel and our insurance companies have all asked us to replace the docks.
Okay, so I'm just curious. So you said, do your condo documents provide this as an amenity to the owners of the condominiums?
Correct.
It was in their original.
Since I believe 1983.
Okay, and is it restricted to only people who live there, or can you sell them to other people?
No, it's restricted to, it's a common element.
Common element, right, but sometimes you can rent them, the common elements could be rented out if the board would agree, but I'm just, you know.
Any changes to the bylaws or the declaration would require a vote by the community.
75%. Okay, got it, thanks.
Thank you.
Are there any other speakers? Is Peggy Warman? Are you speaking in behalf?
Yeah, it was good.
So we have no other speakers? Ms. Allen?
Chair, if I could just make a quick comment. On page 108 of your packets, the Coronado did provide to staff an HOA approval letter, just in case you didn't see it, it's on page 108.
All right, young man, if you step to the podium, identify yourself.
Good morning. My name's Felix Martinez. I'm the general manager for Seagate of Highland Condominiums, the neighbor to the north of Coronado. Great community. I just want to, for my edification, so I can share with the board and the community, I just wanted to be clear on this notice. Are we going with boat lifts or not? It sounds like it was originally, but it's not. So no boat lifts, are just replacing everything in place. So that's fine. I wanted the board to be aware of a couple of key points. First of all, Cummings and Cedarburg and Berg, they did the seawall a couple of years ago, as mentioned. I didn't see a public notice then, so I was kind of, is this something that's new now? I guess Ms. Allen will need to identify that if we do seawall work or marine work on our side. We've got 31 boat slips and Coronado has 18. The only concern I would ask the engineer to make sure that right where those two seawalls come together, make sure that's protected during the demolition, from the vibration of the pounding and whatnot, make sure that, Seagate's property is protected there and the union of the seawall. So I'd like that to take care of. And more overarching concern, I wanted this to go on record. On January 15th, there was a tragic boat accident at our property. And that was the second one in about 6 months. So it was a high-speed fatality. Boat captain lost control, crashed into our pier. So putting in lifts is great, but boat accidents can still happen. I think the community at large, Seagate of Highland, Boca Raton across the waterway, need to consider a slower wake zone or a no wake zone. There's a lot of marine life out there. There's manatees that we see daily, especially this time of year in the wintertime, that come through our piers and docks. So I'll just make sure that the community is aware of that, and we do everything as much as possible. That is a narrow stretch of the intercoastal waterway. We have some estuaries or seagrasses and whatnot that the manatees feed on that are just north of us in the mangroves and all the way to, south to all the way to Lake Boca, if you will, at least down the Spanish River. So make sure that consideration is given to not just marine life, but property that's being destroyed. Putting boats up on lifts will protect those boats, but the waves are coming in. They're coming in, this time of year is supposed to be 25 miles an hour speed limits. And I have a window view from my office and boats are not going 25 miles an hour. The jet skis are not going 25 mile an hour.
Excuse me, we're aware of that. In fact, Mr. Adwar has his marine patrol dealing with that, but I think that's.
Marine boat with policemen and a young lady.
I understand, yeah, and that's great.
But that has nothing really to do with, you are now on the record with.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody is aware of that, and I appreciate the work that these folks have done. I've seen it. They've done outstanding work, the marine engineers and B&M Marine as well. So just keep an eye on that union wall, but it's getting battered by waves. And you'll see some degradation from the last time you were out there. So the wave action is breaking right at that joint, which ultimately diminishes a great seawall. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Is there any other in-person comments? I have one that was sent in to us by Bob Rosenblum. Robert, being a longtime boater, marine dock slip tenant, and a Highland Beach resident, I believe the application to install 9 finger docks and 19 pilings should be approved. It will enhance the beauty of the waterfront, increase property values, not impede with any intercoastal activities on the water or land, and in my opinion, will actually increase safety on the water by reducing boat traffic speed. Most boaters slow down to reduce their wake when approaching dock or moored boats. So submitted is Bob Rosenblum. Are there any other questions?
I have one public comment on Zoom. Give me one moment. I think she's
Okay.
connecting.
We can move on then? Go ahead, Roger.
I just following up on what Eileen said, I just want to make sure that, you know, in the requirements here at Highland Beach, you're not allowed to rent slips here in Highland Beach. That's correct.
I don't know if that is.
I don't think that's true.
I think it
yeah.
is pretty true. I mean, if you look at you're not allowed to rent a slip to somebody that's not a resident.
That's right.
Isn't that in the bylaws of their condominium?
Yeah.
You know, doesn't, at Highland Beach, it's in the, I don't
Ms.
know what you,
Allen?
I
Yes.
don't know what you would call
I'll be
it.
happy to address that. In section 30-68, letter G, number 1, B as in boy.
Yes.
Says here, accessory marine facilities shall be used only by residents or their guests and shall not be rented or leased to non-residents or any other person other than owners or residents of the principal dwelling or dwellings.
So,
That help?
And just to follow up, I know that there are slips in Highland Beach that are rented and people get around it by saying it's my friend. But I just wanted to just point out that that is against I don't know what you would
code.
call that, the statutes.
statute.
You're not allowed to rent
I'm
slips.
I'm glad you told me that because I obviously know someone who must have gotten around it.
Uh-oh.
because-
Do we have a name? No, we don't
No,
have.
No, there are several
know
boats.
nothing.
There are
Yeah, I know
several boats
nothing.
that
all
have
of a
got
sudden.
around it.
But that I think is up to the association to really, watch that. All right, at this time, I think the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to approve or disapprove?
I move to approve.
All right, can we have a vote on that then?
Vice Chair Mendelson,
Yes.
Member Powell,
Yes.
Member Brown, Member Demas,
Yes.
Member Adwar,
Yes,
Chairperson Goldenberg.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, move on to the next. Development application number 22-0002. Anthony excuse me, could we have that? So Peretta, is that how it's pronounced? I apologize. Del Peretta. Application by William R. Thomas Unlimited Permit Services, Inc. for a special exemption approval to install a 296 square foot dock and 25,000 pound capacity boat lift and 7,000 pound capacity dual jet ski for the property located at 4326 Intercoastal Drive. Does any member have any ex parte communications to disclose? Hearing none at this time, Ms. Allen, would you make your presentation?
Sure. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the aerials again. Property. Oh, no. Janelle, I'm sorry. You could. Clicker's not working. Oh. Okay, thank you. If we could just go to the first slide after this. Thank you.
Well, we almost got away without any hiccups.
I
today.
know. That was there. Okay. So this is the aerial for the property at 4326 Intercoastal Drive. The applicant is again proposing to install a 296 square foot dock and a 4-post 25,000 pound capacity lift and a 7,000 pound capacity dual jet ski lift for the property. You could see that currently there is no dock on the property, it's just a seawall. We can go to the next slide, please. Here's just a better perspective of the property looking eastward. The applicant has obtained Florida Department of Environmental Protection as well as U.S. Army Corps of Engineer authorizations. Provided those on page 125, the file numbers for those agencies. We can go to the, oh, actually, this is fine. This is our proposed plan sheet. You see that they are complying with the 25-foot side setback requirement for this residential single-family zoning district, which requires a 25 feet on each side. We can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Here's a detail for the jet ski lift. You could see that the lift is not higher than the superstructure of the boat, so their compliance there. And then if we can go to the last slide there, perfect. So according to this particular plan sheet, which is 5 of 6 in your behind the staff report, the top of the lift here, I again highlighted it in red, is 5 feet 9 inches from the dock. And similar to the first item on the agenda today, it's the same authorized agent. The applicant has indicated to staff that the superstructure components of the boat have not been finalized at this time, so they're not superimposed or dimensioned on the boat detail. And that said, staff again required the applicant or asked the applicant to provide on the boat detail the definition of boat lift as provided in section 30-131 of the code, which is right on top there. Let me see if my red thing works. Oh, there it is. Okay, that works right there. So again, there's no issues in terms of the applicant's compliance with the requirement for the definition of boat lift. The proposed 7,000 pound capacity dual jet ski lift will provide perpendicular mooring of jet skis. Now per section 30-68 G7B of the code, it states that a boat can be moored in the intercoastal waterway perpendicular to the property line, so long as they have the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer approval. And as I indicated earlier, they do have the approval. As I mentioned, the applicant is complying with the 25-foot side setback. I'll repeat what I repeated for the last 2 items. If the board shall approve the item, the applicant will be required to obtain a building permit from the building department, and pursuant to section 30-21G, commencement of construction shall be initiated within 2 years following the date of approval by the planning board. Staff recommends approval of this special exception request, and I'll be glad to address any questions.
Does any board member have any questions of the staff, Roger, about the?
Ingrid, the perpendicular to the seawall is for the jet ski lift, right?
Correct.
The regular lift is parallel to the seawall.
Right. Let's pull up the.
So there will
Plan
be
sheet.
plenty of clearance for other marine traffic.
It's just,
Janelle, can we pull up
Right.
that one plan sheet again? Yeah, on sheet, which is again in your packets, sheet 2 of 6, you'll see that the larger lift, the 25,000 pound capacity, is parallel to the dock. And you're right, only the jet ski lifts are perpendicular. Yeah, no, you're right ahead. There you go. Keep going. One more thing. There you go. You'll see it's parallel.
And the only other question that I might have is, are there any objections by any of the residents?
Staff, I personally have not received any objections. I don't know if the clerk's office has, but no.
Okay. The applicant is here. Would they like to make a presentation? Please come to the podium. Okay, thank you. So at this time, the public hearing is closed. We'd like to have a motion to approve or disapprove.
Second.
All right, so moved. Could we have a vote, please, Ms. Thompson?
Member Powell,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mendelson,
Yes.
Member Brown,
yes.
Member DeMoss,
yes,
Member Adwar,
yes,
and Chairperson Goldenberg.
And yes.
Motion carries.
All right, the next agenda item is announcements. March 15th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. the town commission meeting, April 14th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m., the planning board regular meeting. And I have an announcement. It's Mr. Adwar's birthday today.
Happy birthday.
And we wish him a healthy, happy birthday.
Thank you, Eric.
All right, at this point, I take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. And we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
That was painless.